Hello and welcome to Uniting IT and Security for Cyber Resilience. Today's webinar is sponsored by Rubrik and produced by Actual Tech Media. My name is Scott Becker. I'm from Actual Tech and I will be your moderator today. So before we get into this great session, we do have a few housekeeping items that will help you get the most out of it. Let's talk questions. We want this to be an informative event for you, so we encourage any questions in the questions box in your webinar control panel. We won't be able to do a dedicated Q&A session at the end of this one, but we've got Rubrik experts in the chat to answer questions, and any questions that we don't get to, we'll also pass along to the team from Rubrik for follow-up. So that Q&A panel is also the place to let us know about any technical issues that you might be experiencing. A browser refresh will fix most audio, video, and slide advancement issues, but if that doesn't work, just let us know there in the Q&A, and we'll provide further technical assistance. Okay, next, handouts. In the handout section of your webinar control panel, you'll find that we're offering several resources. I'd especially like to call your attention to a link to learn more about Rubrik. There are also some links labeled ATM, which stands for Actual Tech Media. One of those is the ATM Decisions Group, which is a panel of IT decision makers that you can apply to join to participate in some more in-depth events and other opportunities. Also, there's a link to the ATM Event Center, which has our calendar of more upcoming events like this one. So I encourage you to access those resources now and share them with your friends and colleagues. Now, I'm sure you noticed the prize icon there. At the end of this webinar event, we will be awarding a $250 Amazon gift card to one lucky registrant. Of course, you must be in attendance during the live event to qualify for the prize. Official terms and conditions of today's prize drawing can be found in the handout section. Just scroll to the bottom and you'll find the prize terms and conditions link there. Okay, with that housekeeping out of the way, let's get to today's session. So what we've got here today is a replay of a conversation that was a highlight of the recent Microsoft and Rubrik Cyber Resilience Summit. It features Rubrik CISO John Murphy talking to Ravi Ramaraj, who's a Rubrik customer, about some real-world issues. This is going to be a great session, and one word of warning, this is a short event. So if you have any questions, type them in as soon as you think of them. As I said before, we've got a team member here from Rubrik to answer your questions in chat, and any that we don't get to will be passed along to the Rubrik team for follow-up afterward. So without further ado, here's the conversation between John and Ravi.
Welcome, everyone, and thanks for joining us. The focus of this session is on the people aspect of cyber resilience. But before we begin, I have the great pleasure of introducing Ravi Ramaraj, Chief Information Security Officer at JELD-WEN. In addition to being a Rubrik and Microsoft customer, Ravi is on the front line for his organization, focused on IT transformation and cybersecurity. Ravi, we'll jump right in. Welcome to the session. And the first question I have for you is, can you please tell us a little bit about yourself and your role at JELD-WEN?
John, thank you for having me. Looking forward to a great conversation. I have more than 20 years of experience in managing various IT functions, including cybersecurity. I worked in retail, distribution, and manufacturing industries. I'm at JELD-WEN for the last 6 years. I currently serve as the Chief Information Security Officer. In my role, I'm responsible for all aspects of cybersecurity, including the cybersecurity strategy and execution, security operations, identity and access management, data protection, regulatory compliance, and cybersecurity awareness training. JELD-WEN, we are one of the largest windows and doors manufacturing companies in the world. We are about a 64-year-old. We have an operations in North America and Europe.
Excellent. Excellent. Thank you, Ravi. I'd like to set the stage for our people-focused discussion for our audience. We often see IT and security have evolved into separate functions in many organizations. To some extent, this is due to differences in their missions. We may see them coming together only when there's an operational or security issue that needs to be addressed. These can be normal things like infrastructure vulnerability remediation or critical business capability whose root technical cause isn't known yet. The fact that they're separate teams, though, can sometimes make their response a little bit slower, maybe even prolong downtime or worsen financial, reputational, or regulatory impacts. What are your thoughts about how to unite IT and security?
John, I'm very familiar with the conundrum that you're bringing up. most of the time, the tension or the conflict between the IT teams, they are due to competing priorities, a lack of communication, or both. Uh, in some of the scenarios that I'm familiar with, where the project delivery team will try to onboard a third party vendor to help them with the implementation. Then the security team will step in and say, "Hey, we have to do the security risk assessment." Then it's going to take time, right? So then that's going to create a conflict between the delivery team and the security team. In other scenarios, the security team would want to patch a critical infrastructure to address a zero-day vulnerability, while the infrastructure team is focusing on upgrading another critical infrastructure, and that creates some type of tension. So to manage the tension, what I have seen working better is that to have an effective operating model. The operating model, if it is well defined, it's going to bring clarity on the structure, the processes, roles and responsibilities, and the proper governance framework. At Geldwen, our operating model when it comes to cybersecurity is that the security team would own the cyber strategy. Execution is going to be with the other teams, depending on the nature of the initiative. Also, as part of the operating model, we have various committees. And one of the committees, the IT operating committee, where our IT leadership is the member of that committee. In that committee, we would review all of our security initiatives. When we are setting up the roadmap for the cybersecurity, we would review with this operating committee, get the buy-in from this operating committee, which is again the IT leadership, and making sure that they are aware of the resource needs and also the commitment from the team. Then it needs to be approved by the committee. And once it is approved, then we would push it down to our team members. Also, there will be a regular check-in and cadence to make sure that the cybersecurity initiatives are on track. And also, I go to our IT leadership, the all hands meeting to talk about the cybersecurity initiatives and what's the role for the specific team. And we also talk about the cybersecurity, the progress or the accomplishments in the quarterly, the town hall meeting. So the goal is to make sure that everybody is aware of what is happening in the cybersecurity space and the help that we need from other teams. Also, there's also when there's a conflict, which there will be, we want to make sure that the leadership team is committed to addressing the conflict and making sure that there's no so-called tension. So in my experience, I think that having an effective operating model, leadership commitment, and make it as a shared goal across the organization. Also making sure that there's good communication and transparency among the team. That would make sure that everybody's on the same page, everybody will work as one team.
Yeah, that is excellent. And it sounds like that's a really good way to get everyone to buy into the rationale for what we're doing and why we're doing it. So putting the people first aspect of it, I think is really, really important. So it sounds like you've moved the needle there on the people side. One of the other things that we often see with organizations is this question of where the CISO reports into and what the alignment is. There are compelling arguments on both sides, whether cybersecurity is best considered to be part of technology or if we may see more of a business risk alignment if it reports outside of technology to, let's say, a risk management or a legal team. I think the industry split about 50-50 on that question, but in your experience, is there a clear winner in that debate?
John, you bring up an excellent point where there is a discussion around where the CISO should report into. About 2/3 of the CISOs, they report to the head of IT, it could be a CIO or CTO, and the rest, 1/3 of them report to the business function, like the CEO, CFO, and COO, and so on. In some cases, they report to the chief legal officer, the chief risk officer. Some of the prominent companies like Walmart, Target, Bank of America, their CISOs report to the CEOs. Ultimately, it depends on the organization culture and their priorities. In my view, more than the reporting structure, the active engagement from the leadership, executive leadership, that matters the most. The recent incident coming out of COVID, the widespread adoption of the technology, working from remote, the increased the ransomware attack due to this geopolitical conflict that we have, the generative AI, the risk and opportunities, and the recent the SEC regulation. All these events put like a spotlight on cybersecurity and the CISOs, and it's a good opportunity for the CISOs who have technical background like me to develop the business acumen, to see how cybersecurity can help with the business strategy, understanding the corporate strategy, ability to translate the risk into economic output, also to quantify the opportunity cost. I think those are the good opportunities for the CISOs to develop that skill set and be a good partner and making sure that the security is embedded into the corporate strategy and the risk is mitigated or addressed. So more than the reporting structure, the CISOs should have access to the executive leadership, the board, and making sure that the strategy includes cybersecurity aspect of it.
Yeah, absolutely makes sense. And I think you bring up a good point that the biggest thing that we can do for everyone in the organization is to just give them context, right? So it's understanding how what they do ties to the organizational goal, as opposed to saying, oh, you're part of IT, or you're part of security, or you're part of business operations. Really, really well thought out. Thank you for that, Ravi. I want to switch a little bit now to the people part of this people process technology question. And that is really, how do we think about recruiting, engaging, and retaining IT and security talent, as well as making sure that they have the latest skills that they need to be successful in their job for our companies?
John, it's a well-known fact that we have a cybersecurity skills shortage. We have more cybersecurity roles than we can actually fill in. More than getting the new talent, retaining the existing talent is even more critical. At Gelwen, what we are doing to retain the skill set, existing skill set, is that one, we have defined job levels. The job level starts with the junior level to the senior level, and we also define the job description for each level. Along with the job levels, there are two tracks. We call it technical track and then the management track. Those who want to stay technical, we have defined how they can progress from one level to another level. For example, how to go from cybersecurity analyst to a senior analyst, to an engineer, a principal engineer, architect, and so on. And those who want to stay on the management track, how do they get to the management track? But what are the various levels from manager to a senior manager to a director and so on? And also, as part of our rewards and recognition program, we highlight our critical projects in our IT town hall and some of the forums that we bring all our employees together. In some cases, we have a spot bonus for the critical project that they work on. And also, when it comes to the hiring new talent, we look internally first to see whether any employees from other department, like the IT infrastructure or any support function, and giving them the proper training, and we bring them on board to the cybersecurity team. We also have what we call the individual development plan, or IDP, where we let each employee to manage their own career path. If they, as part of their career goal, if they want to take a training, it could be a certification, it could be going to a conference. We want them to develop the individual plan, and the plan will be tracked and monitored through the year-end goals. Also, we have a rotational program where we go to the local universities and we hire the recent graduates, and we take them through each function in IT. So every 6 months, they get to spend with each business function. It could be an architecture team, it could be a business relationship team, it could be a data team and cybersecurity team. So when they complete the rotation, it's a 2-year program. When they complete the rotation, now they will have the view on what every team in IT does. Then we let them choose their choice of the team they want to join in. So that has improved significantly the employee engagement score, and also in terms of retention standpoint, I think we have seen a very good results. Those are the few steps that we are doing, making sure that we are retaining our existing employees as well as bringing the new talent to Gelwen.
That's excellent. All great points. I'm imagining your retention and your surveys probably reflect that focus on the rotational aspect of it and giving them context, not only for what they do, but also for their own careers. Excellent, excellent points, Ravi. Thank you for that. Cyber resilience requires a multifaceted approach to people, process, and technology. During peacetime, it's important to develop a plan and to continually test and refine. Ravi, thanks so much for making the time for us today and sharing your perspectives on these issues. We greatly appreciate the trust that you and the JELD-WIN team have placed in us by choosing Rubrik for your cyber resiliency.
Thank you for having me again.
Man, that was a great conversation between John and Ravi there. So many valuable real-world insights about getting internal teams to work together effectively for cybersecurity, about internal reporting structures for CISOs, and about recruiting talent for cybersecurity roles. I hope you guys all learned something. I know I did. If you'd like to view more from that Microsoft and Rubrik Cyber Resilience Summit, check out that Rubrik link in the handout. The link to the summit is right there at the top of the Rubrik page. And for those of you who asked questions that we didn't get to in chat, we will make sure that the Rubrik team gets those questions so they can follow up with you. All right, and before we wrap up, we have one more piece of business. That is the Amazon gift card prize drawing. And the winner of that $250 Amazon gift card today is Sean Scully from Texas. So congratulations to Sean Scully. We'll be in touch to get you your card. And with that, on behalf of the Actual Tech Media team, I want to thank Rubrik for making this event possible. And thanks as always for attending. That concludes today's event. Have a fantastic rest of your day.